Assalamu alaikum. Masal khair al jamii, and welcome to our last workshop in this summer series. So today's workshop is going to be about strategies for writing a literature review presented by Dr. Mohammed Mansour. So Dr. Mohammed, the floor is yours. You may start now.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Basim. Thank you, everyone, for joining this session. I hope my voice is audible and clear. I would suggest if you have any questions, we can keep the questions till the end, and let me cover what I have got on the slides, certain ideas. So then we can discuss any questions that you might have. So let's start without wasting more time. So as you know, the title, Strategies for Writing Literature Review, is a very big area of research. If you are starting or entering into research, or you have already got some experience of conducting research, then you are well aware that literature review is a daunting task. It's not a simple thing to do. Why? Because a lot of skills and decisions are involved in literature review that we need to be master of prior starting that. So for today's session, outline is very simple, though session is not that simple. We will be looking at searching, reading, and writing. So these are the three broader sections of this today's, presentation that we'll be having here. So when we look at the literature review, then we can say that literature review is a mixture of variety of skills that we need to learn prior conducting real research that we might be doing. What do I mean by real research is that when we go collect data, analyze it, and then present in our project, these steps comes quite later. The first step that generally we take is we come across is this a huge pile of literature that we have to go through. So I'm not just scaring you from doing literature review. What I'm saying is that a good preparation is very important to do it effectively. And then because if we know certain skills, and if we have those skills, and if we are mentally prepared for this task, then we can enjoy doing it. Otherwise, it becomes quite daunting and quite frustrating as well, because obviously we can't find immediate gratification, because this is a long process that goes on and on and on. Now, this is an Italian proverb I really like in the context of literature review, that going slow means that we need to be ready for going fast. So this is very important, and today's presentation is a kind of step towards that we are going to learn certain things regarding literature review. Obviously, in this particular presentation, what I'm coming up with is these are the things that I found myself effective, so I'm sharing those things with you. There can be so many other great ideas out there, so if you find them even better, so you can adopt those ideas, you can go for those. But in my personal experience, I found these ideas quite effective, so I got this opportunity to share with you all. Right, so en route to research, when we enter into this particular field, so obviously, like any other community, research is also a community. It has got its own culture, and as a immigrant or as a migrant, a new person who is entering into this particular community needs to learn all different various uh, cultural intricacies of that particular community, including the language of that particular community, the traditions, culture, values. So when we are entering into research, then we basically become a part of community, and we are going to share our story into a bigger story that the whole community is telling. So, like any country, every country has got its own story. It has got in its own history. Similar is the case with research, where we are going to tell our story. And when I say that our story, it means that my focus is our personal, take of the reality that we are going to explore and share with the community. So here we see that like a puzzle, the different pieces, if they are missing, so new people, they come and find those pieces and put in the puzzle and try to give it a shape. Similarly, new researchers, new scholars, they also come and do this patchwork. So in this regard, the very important thing is this research question, or the topic of your research, or the area that you would like to explore. This is very important. So mostly people, they dive into literature just to find out the gap. Gap means what piece of puzzle they can put there so that the whole puzzle could get a better shape with the passage of time. So our purpose while conducting any research could be that we want to uh, add something that has not previously been described or explained, or something that has been poorly described or explained. So this is where we come into. Now, how do we know that something is not properly explained, or something still needs some more explanation? This is where literature review comes in. And we will look at literature review in two ways here. It's as a product and it's a process. So product, what do I mean by product is that if you are conducting MA level research or PhD level research, then definitely one of the requirements of your project would be to write a literature review chapter. Now this chapter is the product, like that we see at the end of your document. You see one specific chapter called literature review. So that is the product. But the process means that it's a going on continuous process when we start doing reviewing literature, because you keep on reviewing literature since the very beginning of your project till the end of this project, because this never-ending process goes on unhindered, because every week, every month, new research is being published, and it's always a good idea to include the latest research in this in our projects or research that we are conducting. Uh, I mean, this is just a formality to define it, but let's look at this definition I have taken from Manchi and McVoy, and they talk about a literature review as a written document. So one thing that we can emphasize is a written document that presents a logically argued case. Now this word case is very important, founded on a comprehensive understanding of the current state of knowledge about the topic of the study. Current state of knowledge is also important, because starting from the past, we need to look into research till the present moment, that what has been already done in that particular field. And this case mean the argument you are going to put forward is very important in this whole discussion. As I was saying that we are going to put another piece of puzzle. So your case is a kind of piece of puzzle that you are going to put in that whole scheme. Establish a convincing thesis to answer the study's questions. So the aim, purpose, research question, hypothesis, whatever that you are searching or looking for or conducting research on, your case, your argument for that particular question is very pertinent in this regard. So you put forward your case with the help of existing literature, and you tell that where you are coming from, this is the particular place where you are coming from. So this is what establishes your literature review. It provides you a very strong grounding for your research. Right. So when we look at the research literature review process, then we see this diagram can help us regarding this. So look at this: searching, reading, and writing. Now this is the cycle we go through. While searching, we are basically, first of all, we are also looking at formulating a research question. That is the step one, that we have a topic, we have a particular purpose for our research, and that topic or purpose has got certain keywords or key terms. And then we start exploring those key terms in the previous, research that is already published, and it's available in variety of forms that we will see next. Exploring ideas around the topic and identifying theories related to that particular topic. We come across so many theories, terminologies, concepts, policies, methodologies, like how this particular concept or idea is already explored previously. And then on the basis of your reading, you are going to make decisions that how would you go and continue that particular journey of research. Developing categories and themes for the reading, this comes after we are done with this initial work, and now we are into the reading stage, and we start putting all the ideas, concepts, and notions into different categories and themes, and then we specifying the sections and subheadings for our literature review. So of course, like based on our reading, we form an outline. We will look into different ways to make an outline, and then we start writing drafts. Why I'm saying drafts? Because we don't write only one draft. Multiple drafts are written and they are reviewed. And then obviously developing your argument. This is very important, because the whole literature, you can't hide behind the scholars. You have to come out and bring your own argument, and put with the help of evidence that what you believe is more strong in, and it should be supported by the evidence that what you have already read, that can help you to put forward your argument. And then you can justify research problem or issue that you want to investigate, and then note taking and summarizing and all that. So what I'm saying is that this is not a simple thing to do. Literature review, in a broader term, it's a complex project that involves multiple skills involved in that, and a lot of decisions that we have to make during this process. So let's look at another perspective on this. Here you can see these steps a little simplified form. Select a topic, develop tools of augmentation. Now this is very important, that the way we develop our argument. Now our arguments are basically the basis of effectiveness of our research, that will establish us as credible scholars. Now I can suggest that this whole thing, establishing arguments in research itself, is a another topic that we can discuss, because establishing an argument involves evidence, and then claims, and then the warrants that we make. So what I'm saying is that this thing is quite critical in this whole process. And then we search literature, we survey the literature, and then we critique the literature. This idea is extremely important in this whole process, because sometimes we collect data, we collect, studies, we gather all that material, and then when we write something, then the supervisors mostly, they come up with this idea that where is the critique of this literature. So this word critique we will look into in detail, and then write the thesis. Now, when we look at the purposes of literature review, literature review, basically, after you have finalized your topic, I'm not saying finalizing topic means that is the first thing that you do. You select a topic and then you can't change it. Obviously, your topic might change during your reading of the literature, because you might come across certain other interesting areas that you are interested in. But in the beginning, initially, a broader area of research you have to confine. For example, if you are working within the field of TESOL, you might be interested in exploring, students' identity or teachers' identity, or you are interested in exploring professional development, or any other idea. So in that case, you have to start reading within that particular, particular specific confined area, so that you could read and get to a specific point. So mostly literature review provides a historical background. When we start reading, we also go back and see chronologically what has already happened in that particular field. It provides a current context also, that we get the ideas like what current debates are going on around that particular area, and it provides relevant theories and concepts that are prevalent in that field, and relevant terminology and definitions that are there. Because through literature review, we come to know that one particular concept is defined in variety of ways. Sometimes it is defined by every writer in a different way. So through literature review, we have to make a decision what particular definition we would like to use in our particular research. So this is what the decisions we are making while reading. And then we come to know a gap. Gap can be theoretical, it can be methodological, it can be related to the findings that particular research setting is not explored quite extensively, so you might want to explore it further. It could be population, and it could be any other variable that you are interested in, but depending that what you have already read, and you can claim that it's a gap. So this is claiming a gap itself is a big issue in literature. Evidence for practical problem or issue. So if you are trying to address a particular problem, so then you need a particular evidence for that also. So it provided by literature review. So let's start this whole process. We'll start by researching and reading. So when we look at different sources that we are going to research, obviously, till now, we have finalized our keywords that we will be searching. So whatever the topic is, so we will be looking at our keywords. Keywords are the terms or the main words that will help us to identify and find out literature. These are common sources, mostly known to the students. Books are there, textbooks, specialized reference books, journal articles. We know that peer-reviewed articles are mostly recommended. Published literature reviews of a particular field. This is very interesting because it provides us a lot of good information about what we are going to read. So I can suggest that this can be a good starting point where we can look for latest literature review in a particular field. Along with that, gray literature can also be explored. Like why it is called gray, because it's not commercially published, like reports, theses, dissertations, conference literature. Now these are mostly basically is a part of university thesis portals, so it's not a part of for commercial reasons. So various websites can also help us. Sometimes I really listen a lot against Wikipedia, that Wikipedia is a forbidden fruit for researchers. My personal opinion is that Wikipedia is not that bad for the starters, for the amateurs, because if you just go and read about a particular topic and get some sense out of it, so I think it's fine. But yes, we should avoid referring that or citing Wikipedia in our literature, but there is no harm in reading and getting information from Wikipedia. Tools for finding relevant sources. So these can be the tools for researchers, toolkit for researchers, directory of open access journals. This is a very interesting directory where you can find out relevant journals that are publishing research related to your topic. So you can see what journals are publishing the area that you're exploring. You can go on this link and see how many journals are there. For example, if you're exploring curriculum, so you can just write in the search bar, and you will see that plenty of theses are there that are working for that. Catalogs are there, university catalogs, bibliography databases are there, like Web of Knowledge, internet search. Google Scholar is a good starting point, and open access databases are there. There's directory of open access journals. You can find a lot of journals here that can, this is basically the same that I have mentioned already. Professional organizations like in United Kingdom Literacy Association, it has got a lot of stuff that you can find interesting if you are working in the field of education. You can find some more sources here. AppSco is a good, database. Gale and JSTOR. Mostly people are aware of these, and these are some other, databases that are, their access is provided by the university digital libraries, so they can be used. When we start reading, and then we come across different types of reading. So initially, when we are going through literature, we do an exploratory reading. So the exploratory reading is primarily focused on, we read the title, and does it have any link with what we are searching for, and we read abstract or keywords. So this is the preliminary reading is basically important to decide what we will be reading for detail. So while searching, we keep on doing exploratory reading, and this reading will help us to find out, choose, and selecting the literature that is relevant to what we are going to read. And then we move toward instrumental or focused reading, where we read that particular selected literature, and we read deeply. So we will focus on this type of reading more as we go further. Now, during this particular process, now one thing that is very important and pertinent is that you need to be dubious and doubtful and skeptical about different scholars and their views. There is no need to be convinced or impressed or any, don't take this burden in the beginning, because everybody is just working like you or anybody else. So you need to be skeptical in a way that you can see that certain things might not be that convincing. The arguments, the way they're presented and they are put forward, you will get a chance to contradict, reject, or even refute those particular arguments. So start reading when with the idea that it's not the last word. So this approach is very important, because if I keep on accepting everything, then I won't be able to find anything to talk about. So this is very important, that what attitude we have towards our reading. So we need to be skeptical about everything. You need to question a lot during this process, because this idea of questioning will enable us to become good readers and good researchers as well. And then you must read with evaluative intent. Evaluative intent means that be critical. Don't worry. I mean, just there is no harm in refuting ideas. You might find that your refusal was not that logical. There is no harm in that, but you can come back and amend your argument later on. But be skeptical, be evaluative. So these questions are very important, that which research is good, which is weak. So this element of doubt is quite crucial in this whole process. So when we are reading, remember to find out heroes and villains, your own heroes and villains. What do we mean by that? Is that there will be so many writers that you agree with, and you look forward to those writers, and you want to be in their camp. And there'll be so many writers that you don't like in inverted commas, and you might want to disagree or refute their arguments. But their understanding is very important while reading. So we need both heroes and villains during this particular journey. So along with that, you need also see that heroes and villains of the authors you are reading, because the authors you are reading, they will also be putting themselves in a particular camp, and they'll be refuting the other's argument. The very interesting example I can give that I was reading recently about native English language teachers and non-native English language teachers. So when I was reading literature on that, so I came to know that there is a lot of stuff written on both sides, and people are okay, so people are talking in favor of and against that, and this is how we keep on looking at these heroes and villains, and this is very important when you dig deep into literature. So we come across these different villains and heroes also. Techniques for reading efficiently. Now, this strategy I found quite effective. This is called SQ3R. So survey the literature in the beginning. Just read exploratory mindset and see what is relevant, and look at that. If it is relevant to your study, then start reading and question. So I will show you what questions you can ask while reading. So then look at the questions and try to answer those questions with reference to that particular study that you are reading. Then read and then recall and see what have you learned from that. This recall will help you in note taking as well, because what we learn, what is the main argument of the writer, that is quite helpful later on, that you will see that how your reading will keep on improving your overall understanding of the topic, and then you can review later on. Review will help you to put those ideas at different places, like where this whole thing will go in your project. So it's a kind of patchwork where you will be putting things in different places. Critical reading is very critical. It's very crucial while reading that, because just reading for the sake of collecting ideas is not enough. Here, your contribution comes when you become critical in your reading. So when we are reading critically, we need some questions with us. These questions should always be there on your working desk, and you should keep on asking these questions with reference to the studies that you're reading. So what is our author's central argument or main point, and what conclusions are they drawing, and do you agree with those conclusions or do you disagree? So you need to make notes of these things, because this is where your voice, your story comes in, that when you will start sharing your story, what evidence does the author put forward in support of his or her argument, and conclusions are drawn. So these things are fundamental when we are reading. So we need to keep asking these questions. Do you think the evidence is strong enough? Now, you need to make your personal comments on each study, that yes, you think that the arguments are strong enough, not strong enough, then what are the basis of your arguments. So you might find a lot of weaknesses in methodology, in sampling, and so many other areas. So you need to take note of those things, and you can make it a part of your literature review, because this is what makes your literature review special and different from others. So author make any unstated assumptions. Now this is very important, because sometimes unknowingly authors, they make assumptions also. So you need to question those assumptions, and these questioning is basically what makes you different in your research. And here you can also look into background context in which the text was written. What is the background, and how this text was written? What about the cultural and historical context of the writer? And these things can also help you to question. Okay. Now, very important step is note taking. Note taking is backbone of your literature review, because just reading is not enough. You need to take very good notes, because this reading process may continue for months and months. And if you are not keeping your notes, you're not taking smart notes, then it's possible that you might lose all your reading. So establishing, developing a proper note-taking system is the backbone of this whole process. So I personally suggest that you need to take these steps. I found these steps quite helpful. So you can see these steps, and we might learn from these different techniques. So now here you need to make a decision on handwritten notes or computer notes. Different people might have different choices, but it's your choice. Whatever method you choose, then stick to that, because in the middle, if you go and change it, then you might have to do a lot of work later on. So make a decision and stick to that. I mostly take notes on computer, so I will continue with computer. So I found these different apps and softwares for note taking. I can share with you. These are the most common ones. There can be more. There can be a long list of these. Notion, Obsidian, Evernote, OneNote, Chrome Research. These are the most popular ones. So I mostly work with Obsidian. So I found it quite interesting and effective. I will give you a brief introduction about Obsidian, but of course, Obsidian itself is a whole world that you need to learn. So this is what I was saying, that we have to make decisions and develop skills. Now this learning Obsidian, how to work with that, how to work with Markdown supported systems. Now this is whole new debate, so that you need to enter and then to start learning. So I mostly use Evernote and Obsidian. Evernote I generally use for initial thoughts that come in my mind on while walking, or if I'm going, and if it's just a kind of researcher's diary, I use it. But Obsidian is the main place where I keep all my notes. Now I also would like to share this idea of Zettelcasten method of note-taking. This is what I found very effective. You can read more on Zettelcasten method of note-taking. Zettelkasten is basically a German word. It means a bin for or a drawer for notes. So you can read more about Zettelkasten method. There are a lot of blogs that are working on this. And Zettelkasten method was invented by Nicholas Luhmann. He was a German sociologist, and he's considered as a father of sociology during that particular period of time. And he established this Zettelkasten method, and it was all physical. He has around 90,000 notes in physical form. So if you read about his history, so you'll be surprised how he has kept all these notes. Well, anyways, so this you can read more in this book, How to Take Smart Notes. It's a very interesting read. If you are new to research, then this is Sonke Ahran's book is very important, a must read, How to Take Smart Notes. And you will learn how to use Zettelcasten method in note taking, because I think the time we'll spend here during this particular point of time learning these skills, it will help a lot in later our projects, because these skills will be lifelong learning. So I think we should spend some more time on learning these. So Zettelkasten method will, you will find out that it works by linking the texts, linking the notes, the ideas with the relevant other ideas, and different techniques are used, like tagging, linking, hyperlinking. So these different things are used in the modern Zettelkasten method. So during this process, two skills are very fundamental that I assume that you have already learned: how to summarize and how to paraphrase, because these two skills are a prerequisite for entering into this whole business, because summarizing, making global summaries and making specific summaries, and then paraphrasing. So these two skills we need to master before entering into any particular field. And if you see here, Zettelkasten workflow, here you may take fleeting notes. Of course, I can't go in detail at this point. Fleeting notes are the initial ideas that come in your mind related to your research project that you want to write down. It could be any idea, any connection that you, while during the day you think, because when you are reading, so a lot of ideas are floating in our mind. So as a researcher, we need to keep these fleeting notes at hand. So mostly we have mobile phones at hand. So I usually take fleeting notes in my Evernote app. So you can use any other one that you feel better. If you have any questions, we can keep these questions till the end, if you don't mind, because if we putting the comments, so it is a kind of disturbance. I have to go and see it again and again. Literature notes are basically the project specific notes that we are reading. So these are the notes that we take while studying particular research article or any book that we are reading. So we take these notes. And permanent notes are basically when we read literature notes and then we write those notes in our own words, they become a part of permanent notes. In permanent notes, we also include our own comments on those particular notes as well. Index notes are basically related to what we are reading. I'll show you the index in the next slide, that what do we mean by index. And keyword notes are also important. Keyword notes are basically the tags that we are putting for different notes. So if you see this screenshot, this is basically from Obsidian. And you can see this is basically a note here. And what is a Zettelkasten, for example? I've just taken an example. So now these notes, these are the other notes that are linked with this one. Now this is basically what do we mean by hyperlinking. Now when I want to click this one, it can also open all these different other notes related to that. So this linking is basically very important, because when we are reading, if we keep on working on these things, then later on it becomes quite easy to find a coherent set of ideas that we can put in our project. So if you see this screenshot, this is from my Obsidian workflow. So here you can see this list here on the left. And now these are basically index notes. Now each note has got a particular number, a reference number, and then these are the notes. Now this particular page is basically a template that I use for taking notes. I take the core idea and then I put tags for that. I put the reference of that particular research study, page numbers that I need to quote, I can put those page numbers here. Figures or tables, if they are important for my project, I can mention that. And then my comments on that particular idea. Like I can disagree, I can agree, I can refute, I can do whatever, but this is the template that I mostly use. Along with this note taking, we also need to use references that we are looking into, because when we start reading, a lot of studies, they come and then they go, but we need to keep a record of all these studies, because later on we need to put them in our project also. So if you know, all the first list that you need to make, it could be in any you know, in Word you can make, is the keyword searches that you are making. Keep on making a list of these keyword searches, because whatever keywords we are searching, so there should be a list of these words as well, because it will also tell us that what are we still working on track, or are we going off track, because keywords should be relevant to what our purpose of particular project that we are working on. Bibliographical details are very important, and I will tell you how to record these bibliographical details. Mostly there are different softwares that are available, and mostly you might also be using one. You should also have a personal library, a filing system. A filing system can be for hard copies if you're using. If you're using soft copy, then this Obsidian I've just shown you, it's your personal library as well, where you keep all the notes and key text that you are using. So reference management softwares, these are the popular one: Evernote or Reference Manager or ProSite, RefWork, and Zotero. So I mostly work with Zotero. Zotero is compatible with Obsidian as well. So you read on your PDF reader, and then you can transfer those notes into Zotero and then to Obsidian. So you can watch a couple of YouTube videos and you can find a lot of information on that. Zotero is free and it's quite effective in your research. So this is what you need to make decisions on. So before we look into the writing process, the secret of all good writing is sound judgment. Sound judgment is your understanding of that material that you have done. So for that understanding, effective note taking is fundamental, that we need to focus on, because when you are taking notes, you're spending time, you might get frustrated because it takes more time, but believe me, this time that we'll be spending on note taking, it can help us a lot. We can understand the whole thing in a better way. If we'll be in hurry and if we want to save time during this particular process, then we might not be able to defend what we have written till the end. So that's why it's very important that we should be focused on our note taking. We should show patience. So this is what I was saying, that there is no immediate gratification in research, that we need to be patient, we need to be, you know, slowly and gradually keep working on that and learning skills and applying skills. Now this is the whole process actually. Okay, so this writing process, we can find this particular diagram might help us to understand this process. If you see, there is an outer circle, right to be understood and right to understand. This is very important. The first step is we need to understand what we are writing. If I'm not clear what I'm saying, then I might not be able to make you understand. So this is very fundamental. So note taking is basically helping us here. So if we are clear in our head, then we can write that people could understand as well. So here, if you see notes, review, and then exploratory writing. So this exploratory writing is very important. We shouldn't wait for a long time. I'll mention in the next slides as well. And outline, preliminary draft, first, initial draft that we'll be writing, first draft, second, third. I mean, you can see that there are multiple drafts that we can see on this. You can't hear me? Who is? I can't hear. Can you hear? We hear. Okay, okay, that's great. So time is short, so I have to cover some more stuff because my focus was on writing. I just wanted to pay more time, spend some time on writing. So, okay, so here you can see assess and organize, compose and analyze, and then revise and refine and publish. Now, this cycle will continue during this whole process. You will keep on working on these things during this whole process. So this is very important that when you will be working, so always be ready to revise and refine your research. Don't think that the sentences we are writing today, they are the final one. Never. Because you will get feedback, you have to revise them, you have to refine them. So this is the whole process. And research is what makes us more flexible in accepting others' opinions, and then to face the criticism and refusal from others also. So you can see that number of drafts that we might be seeing. So mostly when we come to literature review, one question is very common among researchers and scholars. So when should I begin to write? So the answer to this question is that as early as possible, because you don't need to wait for anything. So you may ask this question that I don't know anything about the topic, so what should I write? Actually, it's a myth and it's a misunderstanding that we don't know anything about the topic. We need to change our mindset in a sense that when we have selected a particular topic, if we are interested in a particular area, it means that we already have certain ideas in our mind that are helping us to right. So what I was saying is that it's a good idea to start writing as you start reading, because you already have uh, okay, this is a disturbance, these comments. Okay, so what can we do is that we can think about yeah. So when I was saying that when we were planning to work on a particular topic, so we already have certain ideas in mind. That's why we have selected a particular topic, and we have some reason to select a topic. We have some background that has become a base for our choosing that particular topic. We need to write down all these things because they are the specific details that are very important to highlight and make your literature review different and effective. And when we include these ideas, that why have I selected this topic? What is the motivation behind that? How does this topic relate to myself as a professional and individual? This is what makes our story. This is what makes our story as a part of the community story. So this is very important. So we should jot down certain ideas as we start writing. So for this, informal writing or exploratory writing is important. So this is where you will be writing. Start writing why you have chosen this topic. What is the topic? How do you understand this topic? So answer these questions. You will see that thoughts will start emerging in your mind, and your reading will also start helping you. So these questions are important. What do I know about my research topic? What I'm looking for in literature is, so you can just see that what are you searching, why you're searching these key terms, how they are related to your topic. And what are the schools of thoughts in literature that you have come across so far? So you can jot down what are the great debates in my area you are looking for. So you can put these there in the informal writing, first draft. Not it's not a first draft. It's exploratory writing. It's just thoughts that are coming in your mind and coming from literature. So you can also use these questions. They are also similar to that. They are Manchi and Evanoy have presented these, and you can use these questions also, and they will help you to start writing in the beginning. So writing is very important. If we keep on reading and finding a particular point when we will start writing, this is a big mistake. So many scholars and researchers, they make this mistake and then they learn later on that they shouldn't have done this. So don't wait for anything. If you are started reading today, you should start writing today as well. So this is my personal experience I'm sharing. So I suggest that don't ignore the power of writing, because writing will help you to explore more ideas. You will understand the ideas better when you'll start writing. Right. So after this exploratory writing, this is going on, and we have read sufficient number of research studies, and we have highlighted the key debates in our studies. Then comes the time of outlining and formal writing. Outlining is very important. So I'll tell you how do we outline. So actually, when you during the note-taking process, when you have taken all the notes, now you can see that certain notes are related to each other. As I have just shown you that one note is linked with so many other notes. Now that particular one note becomes a category then, because that particular category you will see that is related to so many other ideas as well. So when you will be working in Obsidian, you will see Obsidian has got a map view where it shows you all your nodes, and you will see that how these nodes are linked and what are the main themes that are emerging from those nodes. So that would be a part of your outlining. So you can see in Obsidian there is an online view where you will be looking at the headings, subheading, 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 and this is how you can put the main heading and subheadings and start outlining. This is a very important process. It will give you a sense of structure in your thesis, and you will find it effective later on when you start writing. So mostly we use outlining for the mechanism, integrating and transforming ideas, that what ideas are linked with each other, and then sequencing those ideas, and then it will help us to see the big picture, that how do the whole piece would look like. So what would be the structure of literature review? Let's look at the structure. Has got broadly three main sections: introduction, where your review is organized, in which you mention what have you done in this review, how have you conducted that particular review, what was you looking for, what is the main purpose of your research, and what you have found. And this is what you will be putting in introduction. Headings and subheadings, this section we will see now in the next coming up slides, that how to put things in headings and subheadings, what could be the different criteria we can use. And the end would be summary, where you'll summarize all the key arguments that you have already mentioned in the body. Now, if you see this ordering citation, citation means the literature that you have read and the notes you have taken. Now you have put them into different categories and headings, subheadings. So this is the most common way. Distance to close. Start putting the general ideas first and then specific one. General mean the broader studies that are related to your topic, and specific one are those that are related to your context, your setting. For example, if you're working in Saudi context, so these studies can come later, because first you will be looking at studies done in US, in Canada, in different other settings, and then you can confine those studies to Saudi context. So this is how the distance to close. Chronological is that according to the time, as starting from the first studies published first and then second. Now, this decision you will make with the help of your supervisor, because most of the time your supervisor might have a particular inclination, or your topic might have certain requirements. So this decision is basically related to that. You might also adopt this comparison contrast approach, where you are comparing and contrasting multiple ideas in different paragraphs in this whole chapter. This is the body of your literature review where you are working. So if you are still not sure what to do, then two suggestions I can find very effective. That start by the current state of knowledge, focus on what is happening now, the current debates, what are the different perspectives of pertinent theories and concepts. You can start by mentioning those, and then you can review and critique of relevant empirical studies that are related to your topic. So you can talk about them then. So this is again more theoretical to practical. You can move. So this can be a safe area if you are not sure about what pattern to follow. You can also see some organizational patterns here. This is called zooming, and this is intersecting, comparing and contrasting, and finding a point of emergence where ideas are merging with each other. Patchworking is also another way. Patchworking is that you are discussing a particular body of literature in thematic form and putting patches to make a whole picture. Or funneling can also be there. General to specific, we have already seen. This is another way of seeing things. Now here, being critical is very important. So this is what I was saying, that effective critical writing is selective. This is a core idea that I'm sharing right now. So don't critique every piece of research you are reading. So you need to choose and finalize certain number of studies that are very relevant to your project, and put your critique for those particular studies. For example, if studies are already done about professional development in the context of Saudi TESOL context, so, and you're also working in the same context, then you have to select certain studies that are done within a specific setting, and you can provide your critique for those particular studies. That do you agree, disagree? If they have any problems, you can highlight those problems and mention that how can you be doing better than those particular studies. Don't critique every text. This is one of the mistakes that most of the researchers, initially they make, because in this way we will be putting a lot of energy somewhere where you don't need actually. So this is an important point. So when we are doing a critical or critique of a particular study, so comparing and contrasting different theories that you have already studied and your position with reference to those studies is very important. Strategic and selective referencing, this is what I will just mention. Synthesizing and formulating arguments. The studies you are critiquing, you need to understand the argument of the authors fully before you start critiquing those studies. So this is very important, and then you can show your agreement, your disagreement, or whatever point of view you are having, and then from there you will also present your argument, that what do you understand. And this whole process is what we call critiquing. Now here at this point, where is your voice? Now this is a very important point. Ivanek calls that authorial self. Authorial self is basically the author, the writer. Where are you in your research? So this is very important, because when your research will be evaluated, so this is one of the criteria where you will be assessed, where they'll ask you, so what is your position? Where are you in your research? So how can you show yourself in your research? You can take control of the text and lead your reader through content by supporting your assertions, the arguments that you are building with citation and linking to other assertions. I'll show you a couple of examples now. By making your own position clear related to the source material that you are incorporating in your research. So you need to mention that where do you stand with reference to the studies you are incorporating in your research. Now look at this example. Riley has mentioned this example. This is unattributive assertion followed by support from citation. This is basically a technique or strategy that is used in putting your assertion. Now if you look at here, this is the assertion, the idea that you have taken, or you support this idea and you put that idea in the beginning, and then you quote the research study later on in his seminal work. Now then you have mentioned that this particular writer also got the same idea. So this is one way of showing your voice, or giving your voice, that you agree with this particular idea. And if you see making explicit connections between citations, you can see while writing we also use these words, that linking words. So they help us a lot in providing our perspective on these issues. However, in the same way, when we use these words, it means that we are basically leading the argument, and we are telling that where we are taking this argument to, because these writers are talking about something and we are leading on the same argument. So this is another way of doing it. Or we can also provide our voice at the summary or evaluation of source material in the end. So you can see this example where you are giving this idea that the scale has been successful in providing information when you are evaluating the whole material, and when you are summarizing this whole thing. This could be the part of one subheading, or it could be the part of one particular section. So it depends on you, that how do you find it effective. Overall summary of at the end of the section or chapter, you can also provide your views at that point of time, and you can give your opinion that what things you agree with and they found more logical and effective, or what things. Look at this one example. However, research to date has been concerned primarily with the consequences of. Now this is where you are putting your comment, and this is how you highlight your voice in your research. Sometimes the use of personal pronoun becomes a question in writing literature review, that should we include personal pronouns, should we not include. So these are the guidelines. They sometimes help us to explain the activities undertaken by the researcher. They also help us to explain how the text is structured. So we can use these personal pronouns. But again, if you want to use these personal pronouns the way you want to use it, it depends with the consultation with your supervisor, might help you to specify regarding that. Researchers' findings or results. If you have done research and you want to quote that, so you might also bring in and use personal pronouns, or if you have certain claims to make, you can make with the help of these personal pronouns. And these reporting verbs we see also sometimes help us to show our attitude in the research. So you can see these in study skills, when we are learning how to write academic language, then we also learn about these different adjectives. So here you can see this linguistic strategies to show different degrees of commitment. So your commitment is very important. I mean, you can't write in yes or no. You need to use modalities. You need to have a particular view. To what extent do you agree with a particular argument? So this whole section is another area that we can explore, how to build an argument, and what are different parts of an argument, what is claim and what is warrant, and then how do we use different what language do we use, showing strong commitment, showing agreement, showing cautious commitment. So these are important things when we are learning to writing. So here we've got last couple of things, and then we are done with this today's workshop. So start with the main idea and build its evidence, summarize, link that idea. So this is very important. As I said earlier, Start writing from the day one, and write down something. Keep on adding more ideas as you keep on reading, and this is the best way, and this is the established way. In early drafts, write everything you know and want to say. Don't worry, so you can delete those things. Do not stop or edit or rethink. Don't worry about grammar, and let the ideas flow, and then structure will come with the passage of time. So don't worry about structure, that it doesn't look coherent, it doesn't have any particular heading. These things will start appearing automatically. So use notes and outlines wisely. Sometimes we start depending completely on notes, and this is called hiding behind the scholars. So this you need to be wise, that when you are using your notes. So to what extent you will be using? Of course you will be using, but again, you need to bring your voice as well. You need to see, are you speaking in your research or not? So this question is very fundamental. And do not leave notepad or keyboard until you have completed each section. Write one section when you are writing, because if you leave the section in the middle, then this train of thought might not be the same as it is in the beginning. Try not to end the writing session until you have charted the work that you will be doing in next section. So make headlines, tell that what will you be writing next, write down those points. When I was doing my dissertation, I used to write in red that this is what I'll be doing tomorrow. So when I come, I knew that where I left and where I'll be. So these different color texts are another effective way that you can use. Be patient, be inquisitive, and be relentless. This is a very important piece of advice. It's very easy to say, but it's not easy to do. So, but we can try. Do not leave work until you have it exactly as you wanted. Then expect to go back and rework again. Always ready to change what you have written. So because you'll be getting feedback, and a lot of stuff will be coming up. So writing a literature review is a complex project, learning various skills and making important decisions, and it's a critical look at existing literature. What critical is important? We need to see things with a skeptical mind. Learning the skills of researching and relevant literature is crucial, effective. That's why I was saying that note taking and reading, critical reading is very important for writing. Acquiring abilities, we use tools for note taking. Writing means even learning to use Word. If you are using MS Word or Scrivener, this is a parallel software. So learning these softwares is very important. Word is a very comprehensive software. If you go into details, you'll be surprised to see that it has a lot of functions that we generally don't use in everyday life. So as a researcher, a very comprehensive skill for Word is very crucial and important. Your voice is as important as other scholars' voice. So this is the end of today's presentation. So these are the references I have used. Now we can look into questions if you have any, and that's all from my side.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for this wonderful and informative workshop. We really enjoyed it. And thank you all for attending the workshop. So I'm sharing with you now 3 links. So please complete the evaluation form and make sure you write your name and your email correctly. So I think we have one question or 2 questions before we finish. Here, I think you already answered this. How can I take notes without plagiarism?
Yes, this is uh, okay. So yeah, because if you take effective notes, then you won't be having this issue at all, because when you are rewriting the ideas in your own words, so this is where the paraphrasing comes in, and you won't be suffering from plagiarism at all.
All right, so Walid here, are there any upcoming workshops? So this is the last one in summer. and inshallah next year or next semester we'll have more workshops, inshallah. So please expect an email from us asking you for your feedback about the summer program. So please make suggestions, tell us what you think about what we have done in this summer. So if there are no more questions, so I think we need to end this workshop. So thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your night, and I wish you all the best. We'll see you inshallah next year.
Thank you. God bless you.